It's time. Lock, load, put on your Infinity Gauntlet and grab your lightsaber. This is Nerd Talk. Presented by Webeam TV.
We got a minute and a half.
Hi there, everybody. How you doing?
We're here. It's Nerd Talk.
We're missing someone now.
I know.
It's different.
It is
Chucky.
different without Boss Tech.
We got
Yeah,
Chucky.
we got Chucky.
We're not
We're
missing
good.
anybody. We're good.
Right, just to shave his head, and we'll never be able to tell the difference. We'll glue it around the front,
That works.
and then we'll have John here. So,
How's everyone's week?
week.
Week.
Yeah, it was week. Oh, this is our Halloween show. And I can't tell you how excited I am to have been invited back for this very special Halloween show. I'm Anthony. I've been on a few shows, and I absolutely love nerd stuff. And so this is a great time for us because we've got something really, really cool lined up today. But first, we're going to slide off and introduce you to a couple more people who are really awesome. So,
Go with.
introduce yourself.
My name's Stacy. I'm just happy to be here. I'm so excited that it's Halloween day, Halloween week, whatever we're doing.
Yes.
Horror movies are the love of my life. Well, anything scary, serial killers, anything,
Who's your favorite
Satanism.
serial killer?
Oh, okay. So that's a toss-up. So H.H. Holmes is probably number one, just because he only went after big boobed blondes. So I feel like he would have loved me as much as I love him. And then Ramirez is probably a close second, just because he looks like every guy I've ever dated.
I'm actually friends with... I'm detecting a pattern here. I'm
love
actually
it.
friends with a guy who's a descendant of H.H. Holmes. So, just FYI.
Is he single?
Yes.
Is he below 62?
No.
Does he have a son?
No. Sorry. Yes. But his name's Merrill, and he's a very cool guy. But yeah, he discovered he was doing his family tree, going, "Oh crap!"
Life goals. I want the
Yeah.
murder
Yeah.
castle, and I want at least one original Gacy painting, and I can die a happy person.
There you have it.
That might happen one day.
Hey, set your goals, set your priorities, and go for it. You know, because it can help you whether you're building a real estate development, which can land you in hot water, or you're just moving into an old scary mansion somewhere.
No, it's an apartment, or it was an apartment complex over, like in a major metropolitan area where it was all like retail at the bottom, and then it was all the apartments. I think that would just be fun to own. Turn into a little bed and breakfast, and
You can check in, but you can't check out. Yeah, which I think is the Roach Motel. Never mind. I was going for Hotel California, and I just went wrong.
least favorite season of American Horror Story.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Cool. So, and then you are.
I'm Michael. I'm a nobody. I've only
Michael.
been on the show 200 episodes now. Wait, no. 200.
Congratulations.
I don't know. 100, 200. It's
It's
been a while.
in that ballpark.
It's been a couple
range.
years. I don't know.
You've hit triple digits. That's all that matters.
Yeah, that's all
After
that
that, you're
matters.
just coasting.
It's just happening.
Yeah.
I also host another little show, Comic Book 101.
Yep.
And we're always looking for new co-hosts, guest co-hosts. If you want to be it, let me know.
Yes.
And the best part, I stream on Twitch. Follow me, Cosplay in Tampa Bay.
I twitch when I stream, so I hear you. Are you watching? Y'all watching? Yeah, we're streaming.
Are you twitching?
I just did. Yeah, you missed it. Watch your monitors. They're over there for a reason.
I'm
So,
a halfway decent photographer too.
yeah, you've got some pretty decent work out there and some reasonable acclaim. I know you were nominated in the
Yeah.
Best of the Bay, so that's
Yeah,
pretty
that
cool.
was shocking. I was very
Yeah.
appreciated just being nominated. I knew I couldn't win, but I'm like, I'm nominated. I'm happy with that.
No, I was shocked.
I was shocked.
I mean, no, just because it was you.
No,
I mean, your photographs are okay, but you.
it was just
Yeah, you're just scary. I mean, you are pain. We've been through this before already. He was denying it, but his shirt says "I am pain," so he's got to live with it now.
Hey, it's Pinhead. I figured it's a horror movie week, Halloween. Why not? We're Pinhead.
There you go. I can't think of a better shirt I wouldn't wear.
Yeah, and it's not on our list either. Nobody The
No.
Hellraiser movies, apparently.
Well, it's not about liking the movie.
Or
it's
didn't get
about
scared by it.
Yeah, because what I think we're going to be doing tonight.
All right, see, I didn't get that
Go
part
ahead.
because when I put my list together,
Yeah.
I didn't put ones that actually scared me. I put just my favorite ones.
So you did favorites. I looked at it as an assignment to pick the movies that had special, scary, just moments for me, for whatever reason. And so that's why I've got my movies that I listed. What was your criteria on yours?
I always try to look at things in more of like a sociological perspective. So I kind of went with the ones that were the most pivotal to the genre when it came to the way that society reacted to it.
Oh, nice. I like that. So yeah, this is going to be fun. How are we doing this, Captain Mike?
I don't know. How are we doing this? Let's go ahead and start with the first topic then.
Okay, what's the first one?
Because I know the movies, we're going to be talking a lot on them, so we'll go through the first topic. The Real American Horror Story Murder House is hosting a Halloween live stream event.
Okay.
So, did you ever watch American Horror Story?
No,
That one that
we-
started, what, 10 years ago?
And we got
We're
rid of
filming
cable in
season 10
2004.
next month.
Congratulations. No, we got rid of cable in 2004. And so we cut the tie, and we've been internet ever since then. But so all of my stuff comes from there. And so, no, I've never seen American Horror Story. What's it about?
Each season's different. Not
Okay.
one season's ever the same. That's what's good. Some of them have finally been tying into each other. We've had one season where the character finally showed up in another season. It was, what's her name?
Some of the witches from Cult
Yeah.
showed up in
But
Apocalypse.
before that, it was the girl that was the nun one. I think season 2. She showed up in the Freak Show.
Yes. Yeah, there was some
Cool.
tie-in
Yeah.
between the asylum and
That's the Asylum. So
Love it when
everyone's
they do stuff
different.
like
The
that.
first one was all about the ghost in a house. Then we had Asylum, which I didn't watch that. My favorite was The Witches. Season 3, then season, 3 years ago? I think. Is when
3
we did
years
the-
ago was
Was it when we brought The Witches back?
Coven is season 3, and then Apocalypse was, yeah, because we had 85 was most recently, and then before that was Cult
Yeah.
about Trump. That was a fun one. And then before that was Apocalypse,
Yeah.
yeah.
So which one is about, is Hocus Pocus? Because those
The
are the
first
3
one.
witches that, you know,
No,
I know
that's
most
3.
about. Okay, yeah.
3.
All right, good.
But it's cool because you'll be able go in there starting Thursday, October 29th till Sunday. So it'll be interesting.
Wow.
I would do it. It would
Sounds
be
pretty
fun.
cool. I mean, if they've got this kind of thing available, and
It's the
you go
first
through
time it's
safely,
actually open
it's
to the public,
great.
too.
Wow,
The building's never been open to the public.
no kidding.
But that
I
house
love it when they do it.
isn't really as haunted as the show makes it out to be.
No,
Like, they
no,
picked
it's
some
not.
celebrity ghosts
Yeah.
to put, like, you had victims of the Manson family in that one. You had the Black Dahlia was supposedly killed by the owner of that house. Like, they tied in so many celebrity deaths. Like, those can't be the actual ghosts
No.
people think that they're
No.
interacting with.
No, but it makes for good TV.
Yeah. And it's been a popular show every year. It's been coming back, and
Maybe I'll go back and see if I can find. Is it streaming
think,
anywhere, like on Netflix or?
Net-
pretty
Netflix
sure you
has-
can get it on Netflix.
Cool.
Netflix has up to Cult. They don't have 85 yet. But
85 was interesting. It was. I didn't finish it, but it was all right.
I don't know anybody who did finish it.
Yeah. I think I watched 3 episodes. I'm like, I'm done. It just got boring to me.
Yeah, they lost me at 5. But this season that they're starting to film now, the big celebrity name since Jessica Lange is not coming back again. They're bringing in Macaulay Culkin, and I'm really
Oh,
excited about
really?
that. And he's supposedly filming like a super raunchy sex scene that like there's going to be a huge warning that you can't watch that episode. And
I don't want to see him do a sex scene.
really,
I'm
You didn't like
I'm
Party
a little
Monster?
traumatized right now because I can see this thing with the little boy, and then you're talking sex scene, and I'm like, that's something I just can't have in my head ever.
then don't
That's
watch
just-
Party
that's
Monster.
just not going to be there. Nope, not going to happen. Wouldn't be prudent. So I just went church lady on you. Yeah.
But to the next one, I know you didn't know about it, but you know what Quibi is, right? Quibi?
Yes.
So it's dead.
Yeah.
It died.
Yeah.
No more.
And for good reason. I mean,
Who thought this would be a good idea.
Well, it was
10-minute
based on the
TV
premise
shows?
that everybody wanted short videos. And,
Because
John...
you're used to watching like TikToks,
Well,
Musical.ly, things
just
like that.
just to going, oh, people have no, because they were tracking viewership on videos, and they're seeing this drop off at 60 to 70 seconds. They're like, okay, we need to make everything really, really short so people pay attention to it. But the fact of the matter was, the content just wasn't any good, so it wasn't holding people. I mean, you're looking at, oh God, what was it?
They did have
Wistia,
some-
I think, had like 350 million videos, and they're showing these drop-offs. It's like, see, this proves that you have to keep it short if you're going to get anybody's attention. And the fact was, all of these videos were like instruction manuals.
Oh, God.
And it's like, who the hell's going to say, oh my God, I'm glued to this box opening thing? No, it's not going to happen. And so when you weeded it out, John says it best. Okay, it's like, if we really had attention span deficit disorder, we wouldn't be binge watching 9 episodes on Netflix in a row on a Saturday, just nonstop. We don't have an issue with this. And so that's where they made their mistake. They were based on the premise that people wanted short. And that's not true.
No.
People want engaging. People want to get lost in your world. And so build a world they can stay in. And that's not what they're doing with this.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they even had some big actors like Bruce Willis did little shows on there.
Yep.
And a bunch of people.
Yeah.
It just,
But it
I
was
wasn't going to pay for it.
a false premise.
Yeah.
That and you gotta pay
That's the
for it.
main key issue. You had to pay for it. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I'm not paying to
I'm
watch
not paying
a
for
10-minute
shorts.
show. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. Not when, for the same price I can get, Discovery.
Netflix, Hulu,
Which, by the way, I've watched the first 2 episodes of Discovery. It's pretty cool so
I
far.
need to catch up and watch it.
Oh, I love that show. It's like the best Trek since Trek. And I'm sticking with it. I love Discovery.
I'm just
So-
waiting for the next half of Lucifer to come out and I'll be happy. That's the show I'm hooked on.
Oh, that's a show. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about, the Antichrist. All right, go ahead.
No, he hasn't come back yet. No, Lucifer's a great show.
It's amazing.
And they signed finally season 6 for the last season. So it's going to be good to have that come back finally.
And I love shows with an arc, okay, that aren't just episodic and just keep going and going and going until finally people stop watching.
This one has a good story arc, and the last half of the season we're on right now, God comes in, and the person that plays God is the Allstate insurance guy.
Yeah.
He's God.
Cool.
Spoiler.
It's funny. There's, not all nerd things are TV movies. There's also a couple books out right now that are really phenomenal in that aspect. Gideon the Ninth and Horror the Ninth. They're back to back. They are freaking phenomenal books. The world building is amazing. It takes place in the ninth house, which is a planet somewhere. It might be our solar system. It's kind of funky. Can't quite tell. Okay, there was a giant catastrophe, and now there are 9 houses, and some of the houses are not occupied. But the ninth house, which is probably on Pluto, okay, whatever the hell it is a bunch of necromancers. And they were, and their backstory is phenomenal when you finally get to it. And it's just an incredible book as they're trying to bring about the next band of lictors, who are the super soldier guardians of the galaxy, and so they're trying to farm from these different groups. And what you find out about how lictors are made and who made them and how it happens is it all unravels because nobody knows, because it's been 10,000 years since anybody's done it. And so there's all this stuff, and it's just a phenomenal mystery. Who done it? And I mean, once you're like going through this, almost like Harry Potter thing, where you're walking around looking at everything, which is the first half of the first movie, as Harry's being introduced to the world, and you're kind of going through that. But then, bam! Suddenly, the crap hits the fan, and it's like boom, 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 and you really end up really falling in love with the main character, Gideon. She's just a badass, two-handed, sword-wielding. She's not a necromancer. She never wanted to be, on that planet. Something happened. She got dumped there as an infant, and so she ends up being part of this royal family, and she doesn't want to. And she's attached to the heiress of the royals, which is Harrowhark, and who's the necromancer, the most powerful necromancer you've ever freaking seen. And she's like just over the top powerful. Like, where the hell does all this come from? In the second book, you find out where it all comes from, and the third book's not out yet. It's like just driving you crazy, but it's really, really good stuff. So, just more stuff to throw out there.
Sounds like we should.
Gideon the
read
Ninth
that.
and Harrowhark the Ninth. Yeah, I don't even think they could ever make these into movies. It would be almost impossible. They're so good.
Yeah.
You would just be like ruining them. Of course, how did we say that about Harry Potter? You
Yeah.
know, but if you give it to Chris Columbus, you're going to be okay. You know, he knew how to make a Harry
I'm
Potter
waiting
movie.
for the new book, Ready Player 2. We get that in 3 weeks.
Really?
Yeah.
I hadn't heard about that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It takes place right after the movie.
Yeah.
Or right after the book.
Yeah.
After he wins everything, he finds
Right.
out there's still another puzzle and everything. There's still more clues, and the new big bad evil's coming in. So it'll be interesting.
Not really in love with it when they do that. It's like you had
Yeah.
this beautiful wrap up.
Oh, it
Why
was
are
a
you
great
carrying
ending
it
for the first
forward?
one, yeah.
I mean, there was no doubt in Star Wars, okay, when Vader goes, off at the end, you're going, I smell a sequel. Okay? But when you have the perfect wrap up and everything is solved and everything's beautiful, there's no clue there that anything else is supposed to be happening. So this is more like, that worked out really well. I'm going to write another one.
So I got it on pre-order already. I got a first
good.
edition copy coming, and it's going to be autographed.
Nice. By whom?
I can't remember his
It's a
name.
joke. It was, you know,
Yeah.
it's like the guy at the
Whoever-
bookstore,
Yeah.
you know.
Just a random person, find some random cute girl. Hey, can you autograph my book? Thank
Here you go. So, do you read much?
I do.
What's the last
like
sci-fi geeky
Nothing.
nerd thing you've read?
That's the thing, nothing fiction. I
All
have an
horror?
obsession with, no, not even horror really.
Oh, with what?
My obsession's mostly history. Like I have okay, so
be a
sort
history
of
nerd.
sort of fiction. I just picked up a book that has like 100 different ways that World War II could have been different had one particular situation
Oh my God.
changed.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
That
The
kind of stuff
butterfly
I
effect kind of
love,
thing.
yes.
Yeah, slightly alternate histories. I wrote a podcast, and I'm halfway through the novelization of the third season now, called The Omega Contingent, and you can find it on iTunes and Spotify. And but it is it's a slightly alternate history starting in 1872, in which there's a group of like secret X-Men who are behind the scenes, and because they are there, history turns out the way we know it. They were actually instrumental in saving the day, but nobody knows it. So I built them into history that way. So tons of fun there.
It's exciting.
Love that stuff.
Besides that, I think the last fiction I read was Ayn Rand, and the fact that we are starting to kind of actually live out Atlas Shrugged is really exciting for me because I know how
Funny
it's going to
story.
end.
Funny story. I was listening to the audiobook of Atlas Shrugged, which is only like 28 hours, or no, 56 hours.
Oh, that's not bad.
56-hour audiobook. I kid you not. But I had it playing one time, and I was driving out of the driveway or whatever, and I'm listening to it, and I lost like cell connection or something, and it jumped straight over to the car radio. And I'm listening to it, and it's the news is on, and I'm like, on and on and on and on and on. And then they mentioned something about Obama, and I'm like, what? And the news was so close to what was happening at that time that I actually did not notice the segue between the book and did I read the book? No, I didn't actually read the book. I don't hate myself that much. But
Ow. So?
It's huge.
If the book's
It's
50
onion skin, okay?
big is that
6-point
book?
font, and
like
and
this?
like 1,200 pages.
I mean, how
Of
big's the
6-point
Bible? And
font.
most people read that garbage.
And it's like it's like 3 times the size of the Bible. Okay, but the crazy thing is, she wrote it because people misunderstood Fountainhead. And that's the crazy thing. And she had to go, no, and when you actually read it or watch the movies, they did a decent adaptation of it, okay, recently, into a movie. But people, back when she released Fountainhead, it was supposed to be a giant warning about communism and the takeover and the thought police and everything that goes on with it. And she was receiving massive praise from the leftists who were pushing this stuff because they're like, thank you for championing our cause and explaining it so well. She's like, no. This was supposed to be a horror story. You're using it as an instruction manual, you know? And so, so she said, you're not going to make that mistake again. And so she went back and she hammers you over the head. Which is why, I mean, she says everything 3 times to make sure you absolutely understand. No, this is bad. Don't like this. Okay? Watch, we'll prove it again. And yeah, and so yeah, Hank Rearden's pretty cool. And what's her name? I remember Hank Rearden. Rearden Steele.
The main character,
what's her name?
Dagny Taggart.
Oh, Dagny Taggart, that's right. Thank you. Yeah, fantastic characters.
My whole leg piece is actually going to be all dedicated to mostly Ayn Rand, and then we're throwing in, just for visual effects, remember the short story Harrison Bergeron, also super monumental in the libertarian movement, about to equalize society, everyone had to wear something. So like extremely smart people had to wear helmets that like put piercing, like buzzing in their ear whenever they thought better than other people. And there was this extremely intelligent kid who was wearing this helmet that fell in love with a ballerina that was more graceful than the other ballerinas. So to equalize her, she had to wear like shackles to slow her down. And the whole story is about him breaking out and breaking her out of her shackles. So we're going to do a lot of imagery from Atlas Shrugged and The Fountain, but I'm really excited about having a shackled ballerina on my thigh.
Oh, that's a great idea.
So stoked about it.
Oh, that is incredible imagery. I love that.
And it's a short story.
Cool.
It's
Good,
one page.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I can get through that.
You don't need someone to read it to
I
you.
can read that then.
It might be more than one page, but it's short. I promise.
I actually just started a Susanna Clark book, Piranesi, and that is a story of it. I can't even tell because you need to read it. Okay, but Susanna Clark wrote Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. And if you've read that book, it's phenomenal because I had no idea it wasn't written in the 19th century. The style, the footnotes, everything. And I find out it was written in like 2004. Like, what? I mean, it's perfect. And was it Netflix? I think made a mini-series out of it. Like 8 episodes of Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. And it's actually pretty darn good.
What's it called?
Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. Surprisingly enough, they
Simple,
use the
easy
exact
name.
same name. And it's an excellent, excellent series. The books are magical just because they were written, but Susanna Clark has now written this. And I'm not very far into it, but it takes place, you're following one character who's the only character in the world, except for one other who's called the Other. And he's in this building that seems to be an infinite number of halls. And he just goes from, and I'm talking not like hallways, but like a dining hall and a mess hall, just different kinds of halls, auditorium hall, and there's all these galleries with artwork and statues, and somehow the ocean is in the basement, and so it rises up and there's tides that move through different rooms, and it's crazy imagery. But, excuse me, my initial impulse on reading it was like, this is an AI, and he's learning. And that's what this story is. Now, I don't know that I'm right. It's my first guess after like 26 pages, was that we're experiencing an AI becoming human, is what it reads like, in the beginning anyway. And it's phenomenal to see this. It's like Data in a lot of ways. He's like very bright-eyed and bushy-tailed as he's learning this stuff. And he's so innocent and curious and brilliant because he's already mapped out how all the tides work, so he knows it'll only be ankle deep in this room, but he's very colloquial. He found a skeleton in one of the rooms, and it was a young girl, and he's pretty sure that she was supposed to be his bride so that they could procreate, because otherwise he would be the last of his kind, and that surely cannot be what's supposed to happen. It's like these kinds of things, are going through his head. And it's great stuff. Susanna Clark is amazing as an author, and love her. But Not very Halloween. Sorry.
We got real distracted there, didn't we?
Yeah, I do
Rabbit
that.
trails. We're known for that.
I am a beagle.
Rabbit trails are good.
I am a beagle when it comes to rabbit trails. Okay, yeah. Beagles are hunting dogs. They're used to chase rabbits. In case you don't know.
So someone in the chat said, "I love that shirt." I don't know what shirt, if it's Pinhead or your satanic goat. I
My
prefer-
rainbow goat.
Yeah, I
Oh.
prefer the satanic rainbow goat.
I
like
thought
the
it said
little
hail
pentagram.
satin. I'm like, I prefer
wi-
silk. But
I
that's
wish I
okay.
remembered the name of the designer, but guaranteed she's going to be at Spooky.
And the person that said it's going to be at Spooky, I know that.
Ooh.
So you can find that evil shirt at Spooky.
Most
Not
likely.
evil. We have
No, it's-
goats.
I like the
Pleasant.
evil.
We
There's
have
nothing
goats.
evil about Satan.
No, there's not, but I like it.
We have goats. I'm going to leave it at that.
I want a pet goat.
We have 3.
Do you have a little black
Yes.
boy with horns?
No. No,
That's all I want.
We have a white boy who has he was disbutted, okay, but he had black marks right here. So his name is Pan. Just seemed perfect.
I just want a little black boy, solid black. All the ones I'm finding either have no horns or they have white bellies.
Right.
I'm gonna name it Baphomet,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna put it on a leash, and it's gonna go everywhere with me.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be the mascot for like all the local concert
And
venues. We're
just
gonna go to
make
metal
sure-
shows together.
Just make sure you get him weathered.
Like rained on.
No.
What?
Weathering.
That's why I'm like, what are you talking
Weathering
about?
is the goat term for getting cut.
Oh.
Having brain surgery? Yes. Yes, because otherwise you will not be able to stand the smell.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for that heads up.
You want that heads up. Trust me.
Yeah.
Emotional support goat then?
Yes, you
Can
can.
you register it like
I
that?
would assume
Of course
so.
you can. Yes,
Some
I
chick
mean,
had a beaver on an airplane like 2 years ago, so I'm pretty sure I can have a goat.
I'm-
Especially if it's considered like a
totally-
religious animal.
Yeah.
but you really got to make sure it's a Nigerian dwarf, which are what we have. Our full-grown little boys are like this big.
And that's one that has like the straight horns. They're not the weird curly ones.
No, they would be curly if they still had them.
Oh.
Yeah. You don't want the straight, trust me. They love to butt heads.
That's I want a
No,
guard
with
goat.
you. And you will be walking
I'll put
down,
pool
you'll be
noodles on
walking
'em.
and they will hit you. You don't want to do that.
Bend
Pool
over,
noodles.
pick something up, and hit
You
for
really
something.
want the rounded ones, so it's not so bad. Just,
Okay.
all right, you know what? do
You know what?
you
I'm
wanna
gonna-
do.
you're the
A
professional.
grown-up, you're a grown-up. You can go right ahead and experiment that way, and then find out how easy it is to saw them off.
No, I would never. I want him
This
to
is
look
a
as
topic I never
true.
thought would be discussed on Nerd Talk.
I want him to look as true to his father's form as possible, minus the big fake boobs and the yeah.
Gotcha. All right. So, aside from that,
Okay.
All right, so I don't know how to go into the next part with that. I go and I'm done.
what's
I'm
the
going
next
home.
part?
So with everything of this year, there's a nice video about Halloween for our current situation.
Okay. Are we
And-
going to watch it?
What do you think you're doing? A mask? Do you actually believe that by wearing that mask you're saving lives? Wake up! That mask is actually compromising your health. But you would know that if you were able to think for yourself. Do the research. It's all part of the partisan plan. The masters out there trying to keep us obedient. Do you know what happens when you breathe your own CO2? And what about poor people like me that can't even wear a mask because we have breathing problems? You don't believe me? I have a doctor's note. And you know what? It's actually illegal for you to ask me for it. And don't even get me started on a vaccine. Do you know how many billions of toxins there are in them? Have you ever Googled the autism rate? And they're gonna force us to take it? Oh my God. No, not me. Never, mister. Never. Because you know why? We have this thing. It is called an immune system. It is God's great, big, beautiful breathing system. Maybe you've heard of it. Or did you not believe in it because it's fake news, huh? Everything's fake.
Halloween, 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 happy, happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock.
Well, that was special.
I like that video.
It's you know, it's right there. Did you see the Beauty and the Beast?
No.
Wear a mask.
No.
OMG, you have got to find it. Okay, it is I'm a stickler for lyrics and rhythm, and these are the lyrics they redid. They did instead of be our guest, it's wear a mask.
Oh God.
And it's all the visuals from the movie, but it's like adapted. And Mrs. Potts is now obvious. She's Mrs. Potty Mouth, but it is brilliantly written. It's crazy how well they did it. I mean, Tim Rice would have been proud to have written these lyrics, And it's out there. Find it. Wear a mask. Beauty and the Beast. It's phenomenal. So there you go. That's our happy reference for the day.
So now let's go talk about what we all want to talk about.
What's that?
Our favorite movies.
Oh.
Or
Or.
movies that scared the crap out of you.
There you go. Why don't we start over here with the highbrow, concept of why movies of the ones you have picked are influential and impactful and real turning points in the genre.
So let's go
And
ahead.
let's do 1-1-1.
Do you, well, we're going to do all hers, then mine, then I guess yours.
You don't want to do 1-1-1?
Oh, we'll do
Why don't we that?
1-1-1. Yeah.
Do we? I don't think we all have the same amount of
It don't
It
movies
doesn't
on our
matter.
list, though.
Doesn't
Okay,
matter.
okay.
Let's go ahead. You want to do the trailer first, and we'll talk about it?
Yeah, sure. We can start with the trailer.
Let's go ahead and start the first one for Exorcist.
Oh, I've heard of that.
Somewhere between science and superstition, there is another world. The world of darkness. Nobody expected it.
Let's see what
Nobody believed it. And nothing could stop it.
There are no experts. You probably know as much about possession as most priests. Look, your daughter doesn't say she's a demon. She says she's the devil himself.
I'm telling you that that thing upstairs isn't my daughter. Now, I want you to tell me that you know for a fact that there's nothing wrong with my daughter except in her mind. You tell me you know for a fact that an exorcism wouldn't do any good. You tell me that!
The one hope. The only hope. The Exorcist.
So, why is that movie important?
So I actually hate The Exorcist. The reason it's number one on my list
Wait
is
a minute,
because
tell
it
us how
is
you
my.
really feel.
I'm about to. The reason it's number one on my list is because I feel like it is one of the most misunderstood movies there is.
Okay.
Yeah, it was terrifying. It was shocking. It was probably the first horror movie to go completely mainstream. Every horror movie before that pretty much stayed in your grindhouse theaters and your drive-ins. This hit the masses, and I can understand why it was so bothersome at the time. What pisses me off the most is that more than a scary movie, it is a 2-hour infomercial for organized religion. Like, we're talking about the
Brought to you
peak
by the
of
Catholic Church.
It really was. We're talking about the peak of mental disorders really being recognized as you're not crazy. It's not that you're a bad person. You don't need to be lobotomized. Like, we're going to start working with medicine to treat you. And like, there was a lot of respect for science at the time, and the church was just like, no, these people are not normal. They're the devil. And for 2 hours, you watch this girl see every single doctor that she could. And at the end of the day, the only thing that
And
could
kill
save
them.
her was
No.
God.
Well,
And
yeah.
it's just,
Well, and that's
It's
why
so
it was, but that's why
insulting
it was
to
able go-
science.
But that's why it was able to go mainstream.
I don't know.
It's because at the time, in the 70s, you had a much more, I mean, come on, the number one show was Happy Days.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that's where we were all coming from. And I know I was there. Okay, I was there. You guys weren't there. And what flies today is just would never, ever, ever have made it in any way, shape, or form into a theater at the time. I mean, Rosemary's Baby was so controversial. It was insane how many, many theaters just would not show it. Same thing with The Exorcist. They would not show it. It was not allowed in theaters. So it was not the... It was highly contentious. The Catholic Church may have been rah rah sis boom bah, but the Protestant churches are like, get that shit out of my neighborhood. Okay, pardon my French. But yeah, so it was very contentious at the time. I know, I was there. I was reading it in the newspaper. I was hearing about it on the news, and it was scary. In case you're wondering, yes, I was born in the early '60s, 1460s. I'm just going to get that out there right now. Okay, good. So.
He wears a lot of makeup.
Yeah, a ton of makeup. So that's movie number one. Now,
So
Michael.
my first movie is this little guy right here,
who's that?
Chucky.
Oh, Chucky.
So
I knew that.
Let's
I
go
was-
ahead
I
and
was
roll
sarcastic.
this wonderful Bean footage or Chucky footage.
Everyone has a birthday they'll always remember.
Can we open my presents now, Mommy? A good guy! I knew it! I'm Chucky.
He's something, isn't he?
This is Andy's.
Time for bed, Andy.
Good night, baby.
Good night, Aunt Maggie. Good night, Chucky.
Everyone knows most accidents happen at home.
How did that happen?
This is no accident.
I'm Detective Mike Norris, homicide.
Andy!
Miss Peterson's dead, Miss Barkley. She fell from your kitchen window.
Someone's moved in with the Barkley family. And so has terror.
Mommy, I know who was on the counter. Andy!
Who, Andy?
Chucky.
Nobody believes you about Chucky. He came alive in my hand.
Oh, for God's sake.
Why won't you believe me?
Because I'm sane, Mrs. Barkley. Sane and rational.
No one believes the truth. Or lives to tell it. There's nothing nice about murder. And there's nothing innocent about child's play.
Such a good movie. You had Chris Sarandon, which is the voice of Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yes, he did Jack Skellington in Nightmare Before Christmas, and of course most people know him from Princess Bride.
Yes.
Yes, he's Prince Humperdinck.
And
Well,
Alex Vincent was the kid.
He's such
Brad
a sweet
Dourif
guy.
did the voice of Chucky.
And what gets me is I'm sitting there looking at the mother, and she's a famous cetacean marine biologist. Okay, just 2 years before this movie was released, she was helping save 2 humpback whales that were brought back to the future and saved the universe. I mean, the whole world. Thank God Captain Kirk was there. So, yes.
I still laugh
that
at
was
the
her.
scene where he talks to the mouse.
Oh,
He's like trying
Scotty.
to commit. Yeah, he's trying to
Scotty.
get the computer to
Oh,
react
mouse.
to him, and he's like, "No, you got to use the."
Computer.
I still
love
laugh at that.
That's such an awesome scene. I love Jimmy Doohan. Yeah, he was an awesome person, and he was good at what he did. And a lot of people don't realize, but Jimmy Doohan had a finger missing that he'd lost, and so they had to film around it all the time. So when you see him using the keyboard, he's hunting pecking because he has to hide the finger is missing.
That scared me the first time I saw it. Dad brought me to a Star Trek convention in Vegas when I was like 10. And I was going up to like get my picture with him, and like, he put his arm around me, and I flinched, and I felt like the shittiest person ever. Like, that was not a good reaction to have.
No, but
I was a child.
Jimmy was cool, and you were a child.
I was a child.
I'm sure he was absolutely
And
fine
he was
with it.
perfect in my eyes up
Especially
until that
since-
point. So, like, if anything, it's a compliment.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, we can go with that. But yeah, seeing Catherine Hicks in that was just, wow, I had no idea. I have not seen any of it since it came out.
It's been a long time. I remember as a kid.
Not that long,
seeing
kid.
The doll. The doll scared me as a kid. I didn't like
Oh,
dolls.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
And seeing Chucky running around cussing, killing, just creeped me out as a kid.
Yeah, I mean, scary dolls, they're
But
definitely
Chucky was
an issue.
actually based on Robert the doll, the little haunted doll that's down in the Keys.
Oh, yeah. I remember
Mark
seeing
Muncy,
that.
You'll learn a lot about that doll.
Creepy dolls are my favorite because they're like pint size. Like, basic bitches, they have their poodles in their purse.
Yeah.
Like, if I could keep a demon in my bag, like, that'd be the coolest thing ever.
There was a movie out, and I don't know what it was.
I like her.
Demon, huh?
That's why I need an attack gun.
Bag check? No problem. Check this.
I would in a heartbeat.
In a heartbeat.
Instead of a little My Buddy doll, you have a
There
My
was-
Demon doll.
Please.
My demon, my demon. Which
go,
now
I
we're
go.
jumping over into the Golden Compass. No, there was a movie when I was a kid. Okay, I have to tell you, my parents were really, really twisted. I saw movies like, I think this one, for some reason, I think it was Valley of the Dolls. Something. It was about a woman who lands on an alien planet. It might have been Barbarella. I don't know. Okay, but there's all these jagged teeth aliens that look like dolls that are chasing her, and they're going to eat her, and they're biting her, and it might have been Barbarella, I'm not sure. Okay, but for some reason my parents thought that was a great movie to take me to when I was like 5. Okay, and so I've got lots of trauma. Okay, I mean, how many of you, raise a show of hands, how many of you were taken by your parents to the drive-in to see Death Wish? That's right, the first one with Charles Bronson with the rape scenes and everything else. Raise my hand. Thanks, Dad. Okay, twisted. He must have thought I'd be asleep in the back seat by then. That didn't work out real well for me. But now, are you ready? Are you ready?
Yes.
We're going to roll with this one. I'm going to actually do an intro first. When this movie came out, nobody was ready for it. And it took the whole country by storm. There was something in it for everybody.
I do agree. It was creepy.
There was something in it for everybody. Whatever childhood fear you had, whatever it was, they found a way to work it into this movie. Because this is a whole movie about scaring people and getting them to move.
Yeah.
And when this came out in 1982, it rocked the world. So this was a groundbreaker at the time. Poltergeist. Roll it.
We didn't know where else to go.
You did the right thing coming here.
Maddie was the first one to notice things.
Mom, how will you get here? Who are you talking to?
When was the last time you had contact with her? Before she was taken?
It's a fixer-upper.
All the houses are like this in our price range.
Do you want to see Jake? No way. You try. We like this house!
We have to call somebody.
We can't call the cops. What are you gonna tell them? First things first. Your daughter is here, and she's alive. This development was built on a cemetery. This isn't just a few pissed off spirits we're dealing with. It's a poltergeist.
We just want our daughter back.
The door to their world could close at any moment.
If that happens,
there's no getting her back. I want you all to clear your minds. They already know what scares you.
Yes? Something's wrong, Mom.
Bye.
Oh, I've had days. I've had days like that. But that, surprisingly, was not the 1982 movie. You may have noticed Craig T. Nelson is missing. Okay, and as are all the other actors and actresses, which, sure, the movie might be a little dated now, but my movie was the 1982 version because, honestly, I don't think anybody could ever make that clown scene with the throwing the coat over it any creepier than it was in 1982. I just had tough time as a kid with stuff like that. I really, really did. And so for me, that was one of those scenes where it was seen through fingers as an adult. I was an adult in 82, okay, and I'm watching it like this because that scene was too much for me.
They recreated that scene for the haunted house at Halloween Horror Nights. That was all poltergeist. I think it was last year.
Nice.
Might have been the year before.
No, year before. It wasn't.
It was the
last
year before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
But that movie.
What got me on that movie was that old lady, her voice.
Oh, yeah.
Anytime I ever hear her voice, it just gives me chills. I can't do it.
This house is clean. Love it. Of course, at the pet store up here where we shop, there's a woman there who her name is Carol Ann, and I cannot actually go in there without going, Carol Ann! You know. She loves it. Just kidding. She's like, I've heard it so much I don't care anymore. So back to the top. What do you got?
All right. So next I have 3 different movies. They all kind of fall into different subgenres of exploitation horror, which is one of my favorite subgenres. The first one is
What is exploitation horror?
Exploitation is just, it's basically, it's targeted specifically to a particular demographic, so it really depends on which one you're talking about. The first one is Last House on the Left, so that's more sexploitation. That's all going to be mostly rape revenge. It's all about women experiencing something extremely traumatic and then getting to avenge themselves. So it's pretty fun. Last House on the Left was the most monumental one. It was the second one of the genre in America, but definitely the biggest one. The second movie would be Blackula. Blackula is amazing. I'm not gonna say it deserves any awards.
Wasn't that like in the late 60s, 74?
74, I think. But Blackula, I just love the storyline of that because it went over a lot of people's heads.
Yeah.
But looking back on it, just what society was dealing with, and then watching the setup. Do you know the setup of this movie?
72.
72.
Yeah.
It is a an African prince who was trying to stop the slave trade went to Dracula for help. Dracula laughed at him, put him in a coffin. Fast forward to the 70s, the coffin gets purchased. He gets released from this coffin, and he sees pretty much how great the white man's doing because of slavery, and he just loses his shit. And I was rooting for him the whole time. It's just it was a beautiful, beautiful thing.
I had a book when I was a kid that was it wasn't the Monster Book of Monsters, but it was like the Monsters Who's Who, and it had Blackula in it. It had all these things. It had Elizabeth Bathory. You know,
Countess
Elizabeth Bathory?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
She's the one that's famous for gutting virgins and
gutting
bathing in their
virgins,
blood.
Bathing in their blood, exactly.
They dedicated a scene to her in Hostel 2. Eli Roth is definitely my first. He will be my first husband, I promise. Mark my words.
There you go. So yeah, this book was, it was thin. It was almost like a Time Life book, but it was all horror stuff. It was really cool.
And then the third exploitation is the Crazies, and that's a little bit more of a low key. You don't really know what demographic they're really targeting with that, but that was at the peak of America really having an issue with soldiers returning from Vietnam and them being seen as loose cannons and violent, and there was a lot of talk about Agent Orange at the time, so they created this was late 70s.
Yeah, late 70s, early 80s. Yep.
And then, so they created this Trixie virus that basically emphasizes our worst fears of what Agent Orange was doing to people that interacted with it. And the main protagonist throughout the show, or throughout the movie, is not only teaching you can't trust your government for shit, but the few people that actually knew what was up were Vietnam vets. So it definitely shined a new light on them, which is what I loved about it.
That's cool. Those are, and it's when you can use the genre to highlight an important cause for yourself. I mean, look what Hamilton did with, or what Lin-Manuel did with Hamilton. Okay, he took something that was very important to him, and the issue of immigrants. And that whole thing, and so he made the musical around that because that was his passion, and that's what he did. And with some of these people, these can be their issues, these can be their passion, and they're using this genre in order to shine a light, or maybe shine the darkness, on the darkness, and really making it show for what it is. And I think that sounds cool.
I think that's why Jordan Peele has just blown up like crazy, because he is hitting on so many real life, genuine fears, like not even phobias, but like these are real life fears that everyday Americans deal with. And if you're not in their shoes, you would have no idea. And being able to see that kind of translated into a more palatable like horror movie, like it really is.
You mean like getting up in the morning and opening the jar and seeing you're out of masala chai tea? Because that's like,
yeah.
I could really see a horror movie made about that.
Yeah,
for me,
that's
yeah.
comparable to what Black Americans deal with today.
Very first world life. So, Mike?
So, next one, I love paranormal movies.
Oh, yeah.
They're one of my favorite. And even if they don't make me jump, I still enjoy watching a lot of them. But the one that did make me jump was Paranormal Activity.
Okay.
And I didn't see it in theaters because I don't think Tampa got the rained movie for that one. But I did rent it one night. I was staying at my friend Bobby's, and nobody home, just me. Turned all the lights off and
Terrible
watched it.
idea.
And that was the worst idea ever. I had to stop it, turn all the lights back on. I'm like, okay, make sure nobody's in the house.
Oh my God.
Let's finish watching this.
They screened that at Spooky.
Did they?
Mm-hmm.
I missed that one.
Wow.
Let's go ahead and check this little trailer out for Paranormal Activity.
High-def camera on. My girlfriend Katie, she thinks there's something in the house. I don't know.
You believe me, right?
I think we're gonna have a very interesting time capturing whatever paranormal phenomena is occurring or is not occurring. Windows are locked, doors are locked, the alarm is on. Hearing a weird sound.
Something's here. I feel it breathing on me.
footsteps in, but there's no footsteps out.
Oh, God. Oh, my God.
If you do try to play games with it, that's inviting it in.
Jesus, looks like something bit you.
It's not the house, it's me.
You cannot run from this. It will follow you.
I'm in control.
You're not in control.
What's happening to me?
This thing left a message.
If it's not a ghost, what is it?
So what I loved about the movie, it's similar to Blair Witch Project.
And
It's
that's
shot
what I
like
was
a
going to say. I'm like, oh my God, how did
documentary
none of us think of the Blair Witch
Yeah.
Project? It's not on any of our lists. I'm like, I'm writing down the Blair Witch Project.
But
Okay,
shot
so-
like that, and it was really, I love how they did the whole movie. It was creepy. There's scenes where like she's standing above him the whole time while he's sleeping, and just the random knocks and bumps. But the scene that really got me was that last scene of the movie where the ghost threw him back into the camera, and that's how it ends.
Yeah, cool stuff.
Even the other movies were done really well.
Yeah.
The third one was my favorite just because the girl had her boyfriend and it was kind of like a little bit of a comic
Yeah.
relief. So you actually, like, you weren't super tense the entire time you were watching it. You would start to relax and laugh at his jokes, and the second your heart rate slowed down, that's when something
Yeah.
crazy would happen.
Then they also did like the spin-off one where it was about the two girls staying at the grandparents. Because it was called Paranormal Activity something else.
They lost me at 4. 4 is when I gave up on them. I love found footage. It's definitely way more realistic. So you instantly are a little bit more like convinced of what's going on. And most found footage films, they don't have much of a score to them. So that awkward silence is instantly more terrifying than any soundtrack you can
And I
throw
love
on
how
a movie.
they tied them all in together eventually and everything.
Well, that was cool. No, we really have to do a hat tip to Blair Witch because that was the grandfather of found footage film, and I mean it really established the genre. I remember seeing that in the theaters, and it was just insane because everybody's talking about it at the time.
They were arguing for years that it was
internet-
real. Nobody could agree
the
that it
internet
was fake.
nascent at that point, and everything was going out that it was real.
But
And,
Blair
and
Witch didn't scare me or anything. It was like, it wasn't all that for me. I
it was,
enjoyed it.
yeah, I mean it was very much psychodrama.
Yeah, it messed with your
rather
head
than
more
horror.
than anything.
But what was neat about it was their marketing program, because it was marketed as found footage in
Yeah.
advance,
And that's how this
so
was marketed too, as found footage.
I think I remember that about this one. But after Blair Witch, everybody's like, it was some college students in Orlando, for 90 grand made the Blair Witch, and then they spent $9 million marketing. Yeah, $90,000 to make the movie, $9 million to market it.
Yeah, that marketing.
That was the
that marketing
brilliant-
ploy didn't work again until
No.
Cloverfield. Cloverfield's the only people that managed to make fictitious companies and fictitious found footage go viral on YouTube, and they didn't even put it together that it was marketing that movie until after the movie was released.
Of course, yeah, it is very well done. So I did just kind of take my turn to talk about The Sixth Sense a little bit. I am going to talk about a movie though that movies can be really situational and very individual. And for me, I've got a movie on my list that really the movie didn't belong there as much as the book, and that was Salem's Lot. Now, anything by Stephen King in the early 70s was absolutely terrifying. He was the master of horror, and it kind of faded. It lost its edge over time. Firestarter, there's nothing scary in Firestarter. I mean, Tommyknockers, okay, that's kind of freaky, but the book that I was reading at the time, and then of course the mini series came out, it was a made-for-TV movie, was Salem's Lot. And Salem's Lot, here I am living in a little New England town, okay, we're new in town, just moved in, and here's Salem's Lot about a little New England town with a vampire. And I tell you what, I used to have to go out at night to feed the dog, and I taped 2 tongue depressors together to popsicle sticks just so I would have a cross when I went out to feed the dog, because I was terrified to go out after dark. And so, yeah, I mean, there are some things that are just really, really scary for us. And Salem's Lot, the movie with David Soul, okay, the original, was not half bad. I think he even had Max von Sydow in it. Do we have the trailer up for that? Or is that like not a thing? Can we pull that one?
Ben Mears has been away too long. And now at last, he's come home.
My men fought at Valley Forge.
Daddy, come back safe.
Home to the childhood memories, to the old familiar faces, to a life unmolested by time.
And with your saints, let him rejoice in your presence forever. We ask it through Christ our Lord, amen.
Home to Salem's Lot, a town too good to be true.
What was that?
Did you happen to notice the time when the boys left?
We shouldn't have gone through the woods. It's a shortcut.
Well, they should have been here half an hour ago.
Wait! Danny, wait!
Something is happening. Something terrible.
Henry! Where's Ralphie? Oh.
Where's your brother?
First the kid disappears, then this. You're not leaving Salem's Lot, are you?
I'm not leaving. Don't you understand what's happening?
Do you?
Yes, I do. It's in the Marston house. Good evening. I dreamed. You slept there all night? Yeah. A little tired. Didn't sleep much last night. I was dreaming. Somebody out there.
Sweet dreams.
I let him in.
Oh, it's only all just happened
Since I came here.
It wasn't a dream.
Stop, holy man! You can do nothing against the master.
They're breeding on one another. The vampires are creating vampires.
The master wants you.
It's a geometric progression. 2 times 2 times 4 times 8.
There's a dead man upstairs.
Bill! Yeah, you know I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. I will fear no evil.
Look at me. Ned Tibbetts' body has disappeared from the morgue.
Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Bill!
And Susan's in there. Run!
No! Look at him!
Stephen King, the best-selling author of Carrie and The Shining, takes you on a startling journey to Salem's Lot.
Wow, totally forgot James Mason was in that. I love James Mason. And that's just, yeah. So that was an amazingly creepy movie made for TV. And it was, I mean, you can see the imagery in there. And when you carry that stuff off, and it wasn't just me. I mean, he apparently also taped 2 tongue depressors together. So it must be where I got the idea. So that was something that if you get a chance, find it and watch it. It's worth it. It's a decent movie.
I think I saw it once when I was a kid.
Yeah.
That was the only time.
So, what you got?
Next on my list is Mother, which a lot of people actually will fight with me. They'll tell me that it's not a horror movie, but it's probably the most disturbing movie I've seen in a decade.
What's it about?
So you're not supposed to know this, so spoiler alert. It follows Mother Earth and God creating society, creating the world, creating the universe.
Mm-hmm.
And you literally watch how God basically completely just neglects Mother Earth to create his poetry, that then he's obsessed with his fans, and then his fans get obsessed with him, and they start trashing the house that they live in, Mother Earth's house, and they are just demolishing everything that is just pure and clean and important to her for the sake of getting closer to God, until eventually stealing baby Jesus right out of her womb and breaking its neck. And it just perfectly explains what organized religion is doing to society.
I'm gonna take issue with some of your assertions on that, and I know this is not really what this is about, but there are people within organized religion who have done some very bad things, and there are people within organized religion who have done some amazingly good things. We wouldn't have the schools, colleges, science, exploration all came about because it was funded originally by the church. So there were a lot of good things, but like in any organization and anything, somebody's going to screw with it and mess it up. But that doesn't mean that the actual institution itself is bad. It means that it got taken to a bad place sometimes. That's all.
I think it inspires you to tell people, I love, they deserve to go to hell because of who they love.
Right, and that was a sideways track with it.
I mean, I'm totally okay with religion being individual religion is great. Whatever motivates you to be an amazing person, I support. It's like you said, it's when it becomes organized and there's power struggles, and that's when it's a problem.
Yeah,
my issue is not with religion. My issue is with organizing it.
The real issue is otherism. That's the problem, is when you strengthen your organization at the expense of others. Otherism is the real problem. So whenever an organization gets into a place where they feel they have to do that, any organization, it doesn't matter if it's a government, doesn't matter if it's a company, doesn't matter if it's a church. Okay, otherism is the real evil, when you objectify someone else and turn a group against them. But there we go. Now we've had our deep philosophical discussion.
I mean, we can watch the trailer if we want. I know times.
It sounds intriguing. I'd like to see it. Rob?
We spend all our time here. I want to make a paradise.
She redid all of it, every last detail. And she breathed life back into every room.
Are you happy?
I love you. Please, come in. Hello.
Hello. He's a stranger. We're just gonna let him sleep in our house. Hello.
Hello.
Did you know he had a wife? He has pictures of you in his luggage.
What were you doing in their luggage?
What do they want? God help you.
They've come here to see me.
Come quick! You're insane! You're insane!
All I'm trying to do is bring life into this house. Open the door to new people, new ideas. I'm so sorry.
Get out of my house! You give and you give and you give. It's just never enough.
Well.
Looks interesting.
No, when
that's intriguing.
We walked out, and me and then my date who's also a Looney Tune like me. We were like, oh my God, yeah. And he and his date literally were like, we're gonna go home and shower. I'll talk to you in a couple weeks when I forget everything I saw. Like, it traumatized a lot of people, but there's not one jumpy moment. There's no demons. There's no it's terrifying because
just
it's not supposed to be scary. It's just so surreal.
Yeah.
And if you know the Bible well, when you can start to see what it's trying to
Right.
suggest, like it does, it makes your blood boil.
Yeah. No, that's the only time I've experienced that kind of a reaction after a movie was after Saving Private Ryan, when literally everybody just got up and walked out of the theater in
Dead
silence,
silent.
because everybody's like, you know, it was just too much, and so yeah, very cool.
That's how
Very
the
cool. That
horror
was-
community. I think the only thing that we all agreed on is that we only wanted to watch a Serbian film once.
Yeah.
Okay. What's next? Something light and fluffy?
So yes, so let's go with Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh.
Light and fluffy. Freddy Krueger. I remember.
I enjoyed that movie up till the very last second.
So the first time I watched it, I remember me and my mom were over at a family friend's house, and we were all, me and the other kids were watching it. I was a young kid at this point, elementary, I think.
Still are, but go ahead.
Like probably fifth grade or so when this came out. And the scene that made me get scared was the classroom scene where Freddy's walking by with the dead body, or the dead body's walking through the hallway in the trail of blood.
Yep.
That one really got me.
That's yeah, this movie here, I thought when it got to the end and she woke up, and I'm like, oh my God, that was awesome. It really was a Nightmare on Elm Street. They got us. They got me. It really was, the whole thing was a dream sequence. That was phenomenal. I love this. And then Freddy reaches through the door and pulls, and it's like, I just hated it. You just ruined it. You just completely destroyed it. And so I'm like, I'll never watch another movie in the franchise. That just
the first movie
angered
was
me
great.
so much.
Johnny Depp's acting career started from this.
Oh, yeah.
So, gotta give that credit.
Yep.
And Wes Craven's just a great writer. Pretty much anything he's done, I've enjoyed.
Except for the last scene, which Wes Craven probably didn't write that. Someone else probably wrote it, but no, because it just ruined everything. You know, it was a perfect movie up to that point.
But out of all the Nightmare on Elm
happy
Street
ending.
movies, the first one's still the best. After that,
Yeah.
they made them all into Freddy's comical relief. It's just going to be a
But did you
joke,
watch
kill
the
him.
remake where they actually
Went
really
back
went
and-
into detail
yeah.
of what made Freddy Freddy? Oh my God!
I
You
watched
actually
the
feel
remake,
bad
yeah.
for him. Like you start rooting
Oh.
for him.
Yeah,
I don't like the actor, though, that did him.
I don't even remember who that was.
Earl something. He's the one that did Rorschach and
Oh yeah, that's right.
that actor.
Yeah. No, I didn't see that because I swore off the whole Freddy thing after that 1 3-second scene.
The newest thing
the whole
is
franchise
it's
went
worth
away.
it. It
is?
puts such a twist. It's like
Yeah.
it's kind of what Wicked did to Wizard of Oz. Like
Nice.
all of a sudden,
You know who else they did an amazing job making a sympathetic villain out of in Daredevil, the Netflix series?
Yeah.
Kingpin.
Yeah.
Kingpin is trying to save the city just as much as Daredevil is. And you're like, wow, how can these two guys not be friends?
It's all about
And it's,
perspective.
wow, it really, really is.
Look at his side of it. You're
Yeah.
just like Karate Kid, because I watched Cobra Kai and Johnny tells the story from his perspective, and you're like, wait a
Haven't
minute,
watched it.
maybe
Yeah.
you weren't the villain. Maybe how he does it, Daniel's the bully, Daniel's the jerk, stole the girlfriend. Daniel threw the dirt first and started the first fight and everything.
Wow.
So maybe Daniel wasn't the
Thanks.
good guy.
Spoilers,
Johnny
I haven't
was the
seen
good
Cobra
guy.
Kai yet.
If you like
I mean,
Karate Kid,
good and
it's
bad's
worth
relative no matter what you're watching or
Yeah.
doing
It
or
really is.
experiencing.
Yeah, and so being able to flip these things around is, it's really, yeah, you're right, Wicked, which the musical, okay, is phenomenal. We won't talk about the book. It was like, you know, the play was inspired loosely by 2 characters from the book, and everything else was thrown away. Thank God. But yeah, the musical I think I've seen 5 times. Yeah, absolutely
Same.
love Wicked. Yeah.
I love anything that helps you kind of play devil's advocate and
Yeah.
lets you experience things from a different perspective.
And there's no better advocate to be at this time of year,
Actually,
right?
I'm gonna hit on that next.
There we go. Hey, we should dim the lights in here, Rob. Rob, can you pull the lights down? Make it dark. We should have had candles out and just like, you know,
we
had a
doing a
Ouija board.
seance?
Yeah,
Yes.
there we
Ouija
go.
board. I forgot to bring that.
What were you thinking? I had to get rid of mine. It got repossessed. Ah! See what I did there? Never mind.
I have to hide mine because when I moved over into John's house, Dylan helped me pack everything.
Yeah.
And Dylan's like, "You're not bringing it." I'm like, "Yeah, I am. It's a Ouija board. It's the thing's the bone and everything, and it was from one of my favorite industrial bands. Signed it.
Oh wow.
What band?
God Module.
What?
God Module.
Okay.
They're really cool band. But Dylan would not let me bring it, so I had to like kind of hide it in one of my boxes and bury it. So
that's cool.
I could have it.
Cool. You still got it. You know where it is. That's all that matters.
Yeah. John's like, all right, now let me go up to the room and find that Ouija board and get rid of it.
Dylan's watching crap. Hey, Dylan, we're joking. It's really not there. Don't go look.
It's in the studio now, Dylan.
Yeah, it's here. You can't come here. All right, so that was Nightmare on Elm Street. That was pretty cool. You know what? We are going to kick up here with one, again, another made-for-TV movie from the very early 70s. This one was, it ended up spawning a TV series. And there was a lot of horror on TV back in the 60s and 70s. Boris Karloff had a series called Thriller. Like, nobody even remembers. I do. Because I've got scenes in my head that are stuck there from Thriller. And then there was another one called Chiller.
Chiller, I remember.
Chiller, you know. But no, Boris Karloff's Thriller there was some scary stuff in that. You know, like the old ghost in the well and just all kinds of stuff that you just, like, images that linger with you for years and years. And I think that's pretty much what my thing is. But if you want to pick up on, you know, Carl Kolchak, newspaper reporter, who ends up investigating some mysterious murders, only to discover that the world is not what he thought it was. Why don't you go ahead and roll with that one?
Introduce myself. My name is Kolchak of the Daily Chronicle.
Kolchak reports the bizarre, the supernatural, the unexplainable.
You again in another crazy story. This nut thinks he is a vampire.
You know what I call that? Irresponsible yellow journalism.
He has killed 4, maybe 5 women. I saw that so-called super killer wipe up the streets with your so-called police force.
They don't want any help from amateur bloodhounds like you.
I've been a reporter for 22 years.
I've been a police officer for 30.
Well, then why don't you retire?
Each man in the field is issued one of these, and one of these.
Are you suggesting that we pound one of these into Skorzeny's chest?
No, into his heart.
Darren McGavin, the Night Stalker.
And that was TV in the 70s. We only had 3 networks, but man, they knew how to hold our attention. And,
70s, late 70s, early 80s had a lot of TV movies, miniseries, and everything.
Exactly.
That was
well,
a
I
big
mean,
thing back then.
Yeah, I mean, you look at everything from, I mean, Roots was the first huge miniseries, and that was like total proof of concept there. But then they took it into horror, even to the point where they did The Stand.
Yeah, I remember
and
as a kid watching
The Stand was basically to horror what, you know, Ayn Rand is to, you know, politics. It was this huge book, and I think it was a 5 or 7 part. You know, it was an hour each time you're sitting down to watch this thing.
TV series too.
Yes.
So was Langoliers.
Yeah.
Yep. Those were, and you know, I mean, Stephen King was really made for TV in a lot of ways.
And he proves that you don't have to be disgusting or grotesque to really get under people's skin.
Yeah. At all. I mean, he could.
Not that there's anything wrong with being disgusting and grotesque.
No.
I approve.
We're not being, you know, anti-disgustingists. I don't know, whatever.
Torture porn all day.
But no, King dealt with our internal fears more than anything, and he played on that with minimal description. That's the thing. I remember seeing Firestarter, and you know, they finally make their way out to the farmhouse, and I was blown away because it looked exactly like I had pictured. And then the person I was with, like, oh my God, the farmhouse looked exactly as I had pictured. We went back and looked at the description in the book. It's minimal. It's like it was a yellow house with a wraparound porch. I mean, that's all it says.
Yeah.
And yet it was just like we all pictured exactly the same house. And he does that. He takes these little common memories, common elements of what we think and feel, and that's where he hooks you, because he's getting inside your head. And making you relate to it in your own imagination. Not sitting there describing everything out for you, but making you fill in the blanks So
Well, that and he's
when
touching on a lot of really
something
common,
jumps,
really
yeah.
common fears. Like everybody experiences
Like
the
in
same
Maximum
things that he
Overdrive.
hits.
That's a
Okay.
good one he did. Common fear of machines taking over and
Okay.
everything.
I mean, Carrie being the least popular and nobody wanting to come to your party. Who's never
Yeah.
experienced that?
Yeah.
I mean, it is all about the loss of
Yeah.
childhood innocence.
Yeah.
If you're alive after the age of
Yeah.
14, you experience that.
Cujo. Cujo's, there's nothing, you have a rabid dog. It's a story about a rabid dog. There's nothing supernatural in the whole thing. Or is it?
The book made you.
I
know?
still panic
I mean,
walking into my front door at the late at night because I'm terrified of freaking raccoons. Like, rabid animals are an everyday occurrence.
Well, in Florida especially, you know. I mean, where do you think Florida Man comes from? They're all just actually suffering from rabies, okay? We should feel sorry for them.
I don't doubt that.
Yeah.
It's in the water in Pasco.
We have
I
to
can promise
explain
you that.
something away, okay? It's swamp gas. All right, what do you got?
Oh, I don't know which one to do. I'm so torn.
I say Scream.
Yeah, the Scream series is amazing. I mean, the slasher genre had been around forever. I mean, not forever, but for a good 20 years at this point between Halloween,
Yeah.
you know, Friday the 13th, everything like that. I think what Scream did that was new was, number one, the killer was one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, two of them.
Well, yeah, two of them, but
That
was
was
it was
the big
in their
twist, was
it was
that.
in their inner circle,
Yeah.
and that was unheard of at the time. And the fact that this was happening at the start of America's love for school shootings and just a genuine distrust for teenagers at that point, and they just took it and
Totally
ran
played
with
on that
it.
fear. Yeah.
And then the fact that come the fourth movie, and now we have a fifth one coming out, they use every single stereotype to a horror movie in their favor. Like, they flat out, even in the first one, he makes
They
jokes.
made
Never
jokes
say
about
goodbye or never say I'll be right back because you won't come back. Like,
Right.
make sure that you're not a virgin. Make sure you're this. Make sure. And they flipped every single stereotype on its head. In the fourth one, it was just nothing but jokes because of it. And it's just so, it's a movie inside of a movie inside of a movie to the point that you don't know which characters are actually going to fall victim to those stereotypes, that it's actually one of the only unpredictable scary movies I've ever seen.
Wow.
The other ones, I can tell you who's going to die in what order within 10 minutes.
Yeah, I was that way, and on the list here is The Sixth Sense, you know, with Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
Two stories that go with that. One, as soon as the screen's at the very beginning, it says 6 months later, and he's walking down the street, I said, he's dead. And then I spent the whole rest of the movie going, yep, look at that. See, he's not touching anything. Look, see, he's casting no shadow. Look, he's not making an imprint on the bed. Look, he's not. I spent the whole movie doing that, and it was actually very distracting.
But at what point were you like, I know that kid from New Kids on the Block?
Did not know him from
Donnie
that.
Wahlberg. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't recognize it was him.
But that movie in itself, the girl under the bed scene, again, childhood fear under the bed. With Poltergeist, it was the closet thing, you know, all that. But with this movie, it was under the bed, and here I am. I'm in my 30s, and I'm like this, watching this movie in the theater.
I have a question for you.
Go.
Because we were talking about Omen, and you said you had a story about The Omen.
Oh, yeah, The Omen was another thing where, lo and behold, you know, just stupid parents saying, oh, this can't be bad. Take me to the movie theater, and I'm sitting there watching this thing, and they're going, it may not have been a good choice. You know, I mean, but it was just one of those movies that just, again, it leaves you with images that you never know when they're going to creep up on you, and something is going to remind you. You're going to be walking down, you know, going down to a basement, which never happens in Florida. That's one of the reasons I moved here. Okay, nobody can die in a horror movie in Florida anymore because we have no basements. Yeah, it's true, and you can look it up on the internet. But you know, and the light switch doesn't work, and suddenly you're just completely launched into that scene. You know, where you're like, oh my God, this is just, you know, and your blood pressure goes, and that's one of the things about these movies is they heighten your sense of mortality, and that is what can really make them impactful. They make them relevant at any time. They are a roller coaster in many ways, because I mean, what's the thrill of a roller coaster? Seriously, think about it. Tell me, what's exciting about the Hulk at Universal Studios? Nothing.
Fast and spins. Goes upside down.
So what? Why? Why is that exciting? Why is that different? Because you're risking your life. Okay, as soon as you're old enough to understand metal fatigue, you're scared, okay, that you're going to die. And at least that was it for me.
What about movies like Final Destination?
Yeah, I knew you were going to bring that one up. And by the way,
anytime I'm in a car and I see a truck with like a bunch of trees in it,
oh yeah, a bunch of logs.
I'm moving.
I'm like, whoa, I'm back.
This is a Final Destination
Exactly.
Moment, get in a different lane.
Exactly. You'll do those things. You know, and I mean, there was nothing I thought was funnier. I said, I know they're going to do it. I know they're going to do it. And it's like Final Destination 2. So what was the first one? Semi-Final Destination?
No, it had to work. Death had to work its way backwards.
I know, but still, it's like
Final Destination is one of my favorite series.
I love
it. Really?
It really is.
Okay. I never saw anything past the first one because I just thought the whole naming was so silly.
I have a crush on Miles Fisher, so that could be why I love it so much. He was in the fourth one, which is actually a prequel, but you don't find out about that until the very end because the people who survive the fourth one get on the plane that crashes in the first one. But he's amazing, and he did a cover of like almost every song from the American Psycho soundtrack, which is it's amazing.
Cool.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Psycho's something we didn't bring up. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Real Psycho or American Psycho?
No, the Real Psycho. Yeah.
I know you would like American Psycho.
The Birds.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I've got an American Psycho tattoo. It's like my favorite. I can go word for word with every scene of that movie.
Never seen it. I know.
It's
terrifying.
It's a good Christian Bale movie, and I don't like Christian Bale.
Oh, there you have it.
That's the
Sounds
thing.
like it's worth watching.
I hated him in Batman.
I hated him in Batman because he will always be Patrick Bateman to me.
I hated him in Batman because it sounded like he had a frog in his throat.
I hate Batman in general, so.
Yeah, I wonder who you like.
I'm just saying. Batman's a horrible hero.
He's just a shadow.
He's tragic. No, he's not the Shadow. That's someone else.
He is the Shadow.
No. Batman's just so unrealistic. Like, he gives people, like, the worst false hope ever.
Really?
Yeah.
How so?
There's
I'm going
some,
to get into Batman for a second here.
100, 200 people worth, what's he worth? 9 million, I think? 9 billion? I think he's worth $9 billion, Bruce Wayne. So if we have 200 people alive today that could be Batman, why are they not?
Oh, well, that's obvious.
Because at the end of the day, the more you have to risk. Nobody with that kind of wealth and that kind of power gives a flying fuck about anyone else.
Unless they were severely traumatized as children, and none of those people were. That's the problem. My motto, if you don't like billionaires, stop buying their stuff. So,
I don't think being traumatized is what makes you a decent person, because I've met 1,000,001 decent people that were not traumatized.
So
it's been a fun show.
It's been a different show.
A short time left.
Yep.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you, everybody, for spending your Tuesday night with us.
Completely.
And don't forget, Thursday nights is Comic Book 101.
Yes.
I'll be here.
And we will go from there. Thank you very much for joining us on WeBeam TV, where we have all kinds of fun things going on, including a new Nerd Talk show coming. Keep your eye open for that one.
See you next week.